Hi, I'm Quincas and I'm a synth DIY guy. Today we're building the Loose Fruit Wave Shaper module by God's Box. It's a duo digitally controlled wave shaper and voltage controlled crossfader. Each section is normal so as to be easily integrated, but can be used independently as well. There are CV controls for addressing the different wave shaping states, which go from subharmonics to a kind of variable wave folding by controlling state 2's threshold, which is also CV controllable. It's a beautiful and unique module, capable of some very interesting sounds and inspiring patching ideas. In the full kit, you get a premium aluminum panel with some awesome graphics and 2 PCBs. You also get the pre-programmed microcontroller chip and its crystal, all of the ICs, transistors, capacitors, resistors, diodes, LEDs, and the hardware to put the module together. The build guide is online, do give it a read before starting. As usual, I started with the diodes and resistors. Make sure you don't get the resistors confused when they have the same number value, like 470R and 470K, or 100R and 100K. After placing them all, I soldered them from above, then turned the board around to trim the leads and touch up the soldering from behind. Next, I placed the IC sockets, minding their correct orientation. One of my sockets broke, so I just put the IC on the board directly. I then used the other board to hold them in place while I turned the board around to solder. I first solder opposing corner terminals on each IC to make sure they stay put, then solder the rest. Now the timer crystal and the ferrite beads. Next, move on to the capacitors. Many of the ceramic caps came with their terminals open too wide for the pads on the PCB, so I used my pliers to straighten them out, like so. After soldering and trimming the caps, I moved on to the transistors and the voltage regulator. Now the electrolytic capacitors, minding their correct orientation. Now the power header, followed by the inner board connection headers. Pay attention to which side you solder these to. Follow the silkscreen indications. To make sure they lined up, I installed and soldered the male and female headers on both boards at once, while attached. Then I stuck the remaining ICs in their sockets and board 1 was done. Now to the control board. Again, I started with the resistors, soldering from above, and then trimming and touching up from behind. I then installed the transistors and ceramic capacitors, and the IC sockets, which I should have soldered after the resistors. After trimming and touching up a bit, install the electrolytic capacitors. Make sure they are oriented correctly. Also, place the metal spacers at this point, which I forgot to do and had to do later with the panel already mounted, which was much harder. Now we can install the panel components. Don't solder any of them yet, just place the LEDs, jacks, pots, and the switch in their respective places. Make sure the pots are where they should go, as there are a few different ones. Slip the panel over the entire assembly and tighten the nuts. The manual says to use masking tape to hold the LEDs in place. I should have done this, as my LEDs ended up coming out too far through the panel. Now solder it all up. Add the knobs, snap on the main board, give it a quick check for shorts, and plug it in. That's it. Make sure you check out the demo video for this module next. See you soon and stay noisy.